Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, ciao, bonjour, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hey, my name is Jadley. Welcome to Reading with Your Kids. We are beaming out to you and the whole world from the beautiful, book-loving neighborhood of Reedville, the loveliest little neighborhood in all of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so very honored and absolutely delighted that you join us in our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. We do that by sharing fun, thoughtful, and thought-provoking conversations with fascinating people who just happen to be writing books for kids of all ages. You can join us in our mission by telling all of your family and friends about the show and letting them know that they can hear us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network. And they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, Podcast Addict, Amazon Music, Audible, Player FM, YouTube. Wherever you find your favorite shows, you can find Reading with Your Kids. Two really wonderful guests for you today. First up, Annie Agarwal is here to celebrate the magic of Diwali with Sarah. And later in the show, we're going to take a listen back to a conversation we had with Shervidya Venkat. Hey, this episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by AspireDrinks.com. Hey, I have a quick question for you. Have you ever wanted a little extra energy, but not the kind that makes your heart race or leaves you crashing an hour later? Well, that's exactly why I want to tell you about Aspire Drinks. You'll find them at AspireDrinks.com. Aspire calls itself a healthy energy drink, and honestly, that description really fits. Instead of loading you up with sugar or extreme caffeine, Aspire delivers a gentle, steady boost with 80 milligrams of natural caffeine from green tea and guarana. That's about half the caffeine of most energy drinks, enough to help you stay focused without the jitters or the crash. It's also zero sugar, 0 calories, and 0 artificial additives, which makes it a great choice for parents, teachers, and anyone trying to make healthier choices while still getting things done. And get this, it actually tastes great, light, crisp, and lightly sparkling, with flavors like sweet cherry, raspberry acai, mango lemonade. That's what I love. No heavy aftertaste and easy on the stomach. Aspire is packed with B and C vitamins, biotin, and ginger, and it's vegan, gluten-free, keto-friendly, really designed for real life. And just for Reading with Your Kids listeners, you can get an exclusive discount of 20% off. That's the highest discount available when you shop at AspireDrinks.com and use our promo code READ. That's READ at AspireDrinks.com. Healthy energy done right.
Attention, this important consumer alert is brought to you by CBC Funding. Hey, did you know it's possible to receive upfront money from your structured settlement, annuity, or pending lawsuit? It's true. If you are receiving a structured settlement spread out over time and you want a lump sum amount delivered immediately, then you need to call CBC Funding. With your cash today, you can pay off credit card debt, pay medical bills, fund your education, or improve your home. You don't need to wait. Structured settlements are commonly used to resolve personal injury lawsuits. Annuities, they're designed to spread payments out over 10 or 20 years. For many of you in need of money today, this simply does not work. If you have a structured settlement and you want cash now, call CBC's Settlement Funding. Here's the number.
800-442-0665. 800-442-0665. That's 800-442-0665.
Hey, my friends, you know one of my favorite parts of the day is story time. There's just something magical about snuggling up with your kids, opening a great book, and escaping into an adventure together. And let me tell you, that moment becomes even more magical when you're curled up in the softest, coziest bedding you've ever felt. That's why I'm so excited that CozyEarth.com is supporting Reading with Your Kids. Their bamboo sheets, comforters, and pajamas are unbelievably soft, naturally breathable, and temperature regulating, which means no more sweaty nights or chilly toes. Right now, Cozy Earth is offering Reading with Your Kids listeners an unbelievable and exclusive 41% off their entire site. That's right, you heard me right, 41% off. So go ahead, create your own cozy reading nook, wrap yourself and your kids up in something comfy, grab your favorite bedtime book, and turn story time into the best part of your day. Head on over to CozyEarth.com and use the promo code READ at checkout to save 41%. That's CozyEarth.com, promo code READ. We are about to learn all about the Magic of Diwali. Please welcome to the show the author of The Magic of Diwali with Sarah, Annie Agarwal. Annie, how are you?
Thank you, Jed. I am really doing very great, and it's such a pleasure to be here to be with your listeners and talk about the book.
I've had a member of my team, a virtual assistant in Mumbai, and I've been working with her. Boy, it's probably been about 10 or 12 years. Wonderful, wonderful woman. And so she's told me a little bit about Diwali, but I'm not going to ruin it because I know that you are much more familiar with the holiday than I am. So tell everybody what Diwali is all about, please.
Yes, absolutely. It's a beautiful festival celebrated by millions across the world. So it's actually a really big festival, and it's mostly more prominent in South Asian parts of the world. I happen to come from India. I was born and raised there, so I am more exposed to more so the Indian version of celebrating Diwali, and keeping in mind India in itself is so diverse. So depending on which part of India you are from, Diwali as a festival is, it's a shared tradition, but it could look slightly different in every household, what we do. However, what doesn't take away from the festival is that it is centered around these beautiful diyas, clay lamps that we light. It is a lot about the love and light, the victory of, good over evil. That generally everyone hears that version. It is about, there is a religious aspect to it, because we do pray around the festival, and it's celebrated over multiple days. So typically the festival doesn't happen on a specific day. It's unfolding over, multiple days. So each day has its own significant celebration, and families tend to come across and do it together. So the way I like to put it across is it's equal to our celebration of Christmas. That's how big it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, you said there's a religious aspect to it. Is it a Hindu-based celebration?
Yes, there is. When you get into the depths of Diwali, and this is something I captured in my book, right? I wanted also to have my book positioned in a way that any child or parent reading it could actually have the information, and it sounds universal. So there is a mythological story that ties this beautifully together, why we light the diyas. And you will see that in the book, Sarah is going around asking questions. It's just the curiosity of Sarah that leads to finding out what is Diwali? Why do we call it Diwali? What are diyas? Why do we even light the diyas? And one of the stories that I captured is the religious mythological story that supports lighting these little clay lamps that we call diyas, and it celebrates the victory of Lord Ram when he's coming back home after fighting a demon, a really bad demon called Ravana. So it's the death of a demon, which signifies the evil, and Ram, which signifies the good, the victory of the good. And so lighting of the diyas to welcome him back home, but also welcoming that victory, that finally, the good always wins over evil. Now you want to, at least I wanted to translate that. How would that mean for a child as young as mine? She's 4 when I'm trying to tell her the story, right? And children, I am amazed that they like the simplicity of the world around them. I just wanted her to know it's, after all, boils down to the goodness in your heart. And that victory may not happen on a day. It happens every single day. When you make a good choice over a bad one, you are basically reinforcing the idea of the good winning over evil. But in Diwali, during Diwali, we celebrate that. We tell our hearts, wow, we did a great job and we made a good decision and we overcame something that was hard for us to do. And when you put it that way to a child, they instantly relate. And it was, for me, it was about getting my daughter excited to light that diya. And you'll see it in the book. She is very excited when she learns that. Sarah, as a character, is very excited to light that diya. And she says, I want to go and light my diya. And I want to go celebrate this victory of good over evil.
That's wonderful. And I love that idea that we're winning the battle of good over evil every time we make a good choice.
Yeah.
I think that's such a great message to tell kids. And I think it's really empowering, too.
It is. I personally believe that even when we celebrate in India and we go back to mythological stories, they had a deeper truth and meaning behind them. But when we look at it, I try to look at it from a very different lens, only because I have to be very aware as a parent. I'm raising my daughter in a very multicultural, multifaceted world. I don't know what identity she's going to adopt for herself. And so I did not want it to be, I know there are books and versions out there which are very religious, and I respect that. But I kind of wanted my daughter, and I know there are children like her, to really take away what could be the deeper meaning behind this story. How could we incorporate that in our day-to-day life? Celebrating victory of good over evil. What could that look like in a very simplistic way for a child? And I thought this was a good way to put it in a story. Children love celebrating themselves, and they love to see themselves in a story. For my daughter and other children, who are out there and who want to read and discover more about Diwali.
Yeah, I agree. Earlier in our conversation, you compared Diwali to Christmas, and I think here there certainly is. Christmas is a religious-based holiday. However, it's celebrated by everyone, every culture. And I know my VA is not Hindu, but she loves Diwali and celebrates it. So I kind of like traditions and celebrations that kind of cross over and are and that everybody can enjoy and celebrate.
It's true, very true. And in that fashion, I'm a lot like you. I think children more so, as I'm watching my daughter grow up, they love to celebrate anything and everything as far as we can explain them the significance of why we are doing a certain kind of celebration. When I moved to United States, when I actually really had my daughter, it was really interesting to watch her grow and the excitement of just Christmas. So, something important to understand here is why I wrote this book was because Diwali comes around fall. Mm-hmm. Every season, typically October through November. Any of those dates would be our celebration dates. But it almost always gets overshadowed by Halloween and Christmas and Thanksgiving. And so my daughter, I think there was a very specific year, maybe 2 years ago, Diwali and Halloween were literally on the same date. And I was debating in my head which to celebrate first in the house because I have to do both for her. And I remember my daughter, naturally, obviously, she's part of the Western world. She, for her, everything is Christmas. So every time I open my Diwali box, it's almost like, is it Christmas yet? Well, it's not Christmas yet. We still have to wait for that one. Right? And so for a child growing up here, I don't have to create the experience of a Christmas if I choose not to, because she's going to watch it all around her. The environment will support that, from neighbors to Christmas trees everywhere, to the malls, to the shopping centers, to local markets will do Christmas shows. But celebrating Diwali has to be a very conscious decision, because nothing is really happening out there. So in her mind, everything is unfolding within my household. Now, if you go to very deep contrast, like for me in my childhood, if when I was in India, because my daughter will ask me, how did you grow up celebrating this? My parents didn't have to do a whole lot. It's happening all around you. So in that fashion, it's a lot like Christmas. There are Diwali markets. People are doing up their homes. They're celebrating. They're taking time off work. Right? It's so, kids don't have to be told what is Diwali or we're celebrating Diwali. They just know it. But when you move to a part of the world where it could be a part of a more, a minority celebration, Diwali is happening in small pockets, mostly inside homes. And so I had to consciously create that experience for her because I kind of wanted her to have that feeling that, hey, it's still a day to celebrate and let me teach you how or why we celebrate it.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Any excuse for a party, I'm like, yay, all for it. One of the, as I said, I became aware of Diwali because of my VA Fatima. But I'm seeing it more in the general. So I think people here in the States are becoming more aware of it. And I think I heard somebody say, maybe it was on social media, that a state or maybe a city has decided to make Diwali an official holiday. Did you hear that at all?
True. Yes, I did. And I believe the most recent state I heard about was California. Starting 2026, they're going to observe Diwali in public spaces as a holiday. Right? Giving the schools the option to observe it as a holiday and give students a holiday day. I think that's so beautiful. But there are other states that I'm aware of that are moving in the same direction or have allowed schools to actually, observe the day. So for me, I think that's really beautiful. And I'll tell you why, Jed, because now that my daughter goes to school, her life is dictated by the school calendar. And the process of writing this beautiful book and story actually started from the school experience. She was she's 3 and her teacher calls me one day and she says, hey, we're aware that Diwali is coming around the corner and I need some help. I need to educate my children what this festival means. And it's all because there were parts of Virginia at the time where I was living. Schools were observing Diwali as a holiday. So we want to actually tell our children why it's a holiday. And I felt that was beautiful because before that, it's just a celebration between me, my spouse, and my daughter. There's nothing more we're doing than that. And I remember she wanted to put it together, kind of a very small educational program, coming to the class, talking to the children about it, explaining them the religious significance, but also why we do the things we do. And I just remember there's a part of me that was really worried because I had never done this before. And a part of me was very excited because now my daughter gets to have a larger conversation with her peer group. And when I told her what we were going to do, I just remember there's this reluctance in her, but I don't want to talk about it. And I thought, this is going to be beautiful. So I called her teacher and I said, can she come in her traditional attire to school the day we talk about Diwali? And her teacher said, why not? And I told her how reluctant my daughter was. So they did something really beautiful. They connected all the South Asian families together and said, could every child come in their traditional attire? We'll be celebrating Diwali. And they went above and beyond, where I remember when I entered school on the day of the celebration, every teacher and student had these little bindis and bangles, and they had these little clay lamps around. They really put up with the festive spirit. I cannot tell you how much. I think I had tears in my eyes that day, because when you're so far away from home and somebody's trying to make you feel at home, it's so beautiful. My daughter just fit in. And I remember, I'd never forget the look in her eyes. She was so proud. She knew Mama's doing something and it's important. And, that's the day the book was born in my head, because I thought, I have to write a story. I want to tell a beautiful story to children, because the way they relate is through a story to anything out there. And also for my daughter. So, I remember the following year we went with this book, and my daughter was the first to hold it up, and she did this whole reading with me for her class. She's all of 4. And I just thought, oh my gosh, what a change. What a change that, you are taking best of both worlds and putting it together. And it's so amazing to see how peer groups support her through that. So, I just remember after that, the doors opened. We went to Barnes and Nobles, and we had a whole bunch of kids show up, 30 kids just sitting there. Right? I just thought to myself, this is so important. This work. When schools, this cultural awareness doesn't begin when I'm old enough to go to work. It has to begin right in schools, in libraries, where children actually go and they have these spaces for themselves. And I remember after that, I think that's forever changed my daughter. Yeah. She is such a champion of Diwali now. She loves the book. She knows it's a great story. She loves wearing the traditional attire, not because I force it on her, because now she gets the significance of it.
That's wonderful. I love that story. What a wonderful thing that school did for you and the other members of your community.
Yes. And I think when schools carve out that space for parents and for children, where every identity belongs, there's a beauty in that. Because our children are naturally part of huge range of diversity, and they are growing up in this multicultural world. I would want my daughter to celebrate almost every festival. We have this holiday season, and it's huge. There's Hanukkah around the season. There is Kwanzaa. I just learned that recently, and I thought to myself, it would be so amazing to take my daughter to these celebrations and actually show her people celebrate life in different ways, and there's a story behind it.
Yeah. Yes. I was very fortunate. My dad was not a perfect person by any means, but the one thing that he was very progressive was the fact of being open to different cultures, different races, and I'm almost 100 years old, and so for somebody at that time to be open to different cultures and learning and going to celebrations, it was very unusual. And so I'm glad I picked that up from him.
Yeah, what a beautiful thing for your dad to do, because I think it opens up your mind in ways you couldn't have imagined. And that's something I'm trying to do with my daughter and kids her age. Yeah.
And you're right. The time to help our kids form these attitudes is when they're young, when their brains and opinions are just forming, and seeing us model a curiosity for other people and an appreciation and empathy for others.
That's exactly right, Jed. I think, my daughter is definitely, I am guided a lot by her. And I do see there are moments where she's reflecting. Who am I? What am I? There are definitely days she'll say, so now am I Indian? Am I American? Am I a world citizen? Who am I? And I tell her, hey, you're free to be who you want to be. But I want you to recognize the beauty and observe the beauty in everything out there and everyone out there. Can you do that for me? Right? So, it's so important, because children, I think the coming world will shape children very differently. They have access to so much information, so many resources out there. Right? And the way they'll consume, though, all this information is going to be guided by parents, by teachers, by these amazing podcasts like yours, right, that help put a whole diversity of information out there for them. So when my daughter questions her identity, I want her, I tell her, don't marry yourself to anything yet. Please keep questioning, because when you question, it allows me to yet write another beautiful book out there.
There you go. Hey, I have a question. And when I was growing up, I would sneak a little transistor radio. You probably don't even know what that is. And I'd sneak it underneath my pillow. And I would listen to the all-night talk show hosts that, had the people who were abducted by UFOs and all that kind of stuff. And you were talking about identity and what your daughter is going to choose to identify as. He would say, when people would call up and say, "Hey, Larry, I'm an Irish American, I'm an Italian American, I'm Polish American," he would always stop them and say, no, you're an American of Irish descent. You're an American of Indian descent. So stressing the commonality before what we're different. I look at that. I stopped learning being able to speak English, but just stressing that commonality. How do you feel about that? I've asked a couple of authors this, and I've gotten different reactions. What do you think about that idea?
Thank you for asking me that, because I feel like my daughter sits in deep contrast to me. Identity has never been a question for me. Mm-hmm. It's very straightforward, right? I was born and raised in one country, and then I migrated to another, and I've now adopted a different identity, but also blending both worlds for myself, because I can now see the beauty in being parts of two different worlds and bringing that together, being more convergent there. So I don't necessarily in my head have to pick up ever one over another. Mm-hmm. For my daughter, though, it's different. She's soaked in right here in United States of America. And I take my meaning of America first. When she asked me about it, what does it mean being an American? And I think that's the beauty of being an American, being American. America is secular. Mm-hmm. It is built on diversity, right? There is nothing called there's not a certain type of American. Mm-hmm. And I show it to her all around her. And you can see it's in the different kinds of food, different kinds of culture. I have traveled to 60 countries, Jed, in my life. America is one of the rare birds out there where almost every single type of food exists. Every single diversity of cultural celebration will exist in some pocket out there. If tomorrow I want to eat Greek food, I don't have to think a whole lot in my head. There is a mm-hmm. Greek restaurant, probably 2 streets down, right? Or if I want to eat Lebanese food, it's probably there. So I remind my daughter, America is actually a melting pot of identities. And being an American means just that. You get to pick, and that's the beauty of that, right? You get to be who you want to be, but more so mindfully, right? And so it's a country where every belief system, thought system can exist mm-hmm. at the same time. And not a whole lot of countries are like that. Mm-hmm. I know it because I have traveled enough to give her very specific examples and stories. Right? It's one of the few countries where I feel so in my head, I just don't think saying I'm American, a certain type of person, it's everyone belongs here. Mm-hmm. It's the America and its open arms. It's just everyone is here. My daughter's born here. And when she says I'm American, yes, you're American. So am I Indian also? Yes, you have Indian ethnicity. Mm-hmm. We have roots in India, and, nothing takes away from that. Can you blend the best of both worlds mm-hmm. Without feeling the need to necessarily prove yourself to anyone out there? I do not care if your best friend comes from, from another country, maybe from Japan, maybe from Lebanon. You have to be open because you belong to a very secular state.
Yeah. I love that. Hey, we should tell everybody where they can go to find out more about the Magic of Diwali with Sarah and find out more about you.
Thank you. The best way to get hold of this book, so the soft copies are available on Amazon. They can literally go to Amazon, and if they look it up by title, they'll find it. And then there is the hardcover version, which is my favorite. It's actually a really beautiful keepsake book. And they can go to Book Baby, which is my publisher for this version of the book, and Book Baby will do an amazing job delivering them a very refined hard copy. So either way, they can find both on Amazon. I just think Book Baby is, working with them directly, and people who prefer hard copies can actually get it directly from them.
Mm-hmm.
And if they wanted to know more about me, they can go to my website, annieagarwalauthor.com, or I am very active on Instagram. I post a lot with my daughter. We keep up to date with we have new books coming up in 2026, so they will get to see a lot more action there. It's Annie Agarwal author. That's my handle. So they'll actually get to interact with us a lot more, and I'm very active there with my readers.
Wonderful. We've had a great time speaking to the author of The Magic of Diwali with Sarah. Our guest has been Annie Agarwal. Hey, Annie, thanks for being on Reading with Your Kids.
Thank you so much, Jed, for your time. I really appreciate it. And thank you to your readers and listeners as well.
This episode of Reading with Your Kids is sponsored by Ramble Office. You know, before I tell you about Ramble Office, let me tell you about what travel used to look like for me. When I take the Reading with Your Kids studio on the road, it was like a lot. I had one box for the mixer, another case for microphones, a satchel for my laptop, cables everywhere. And I always felt like I was forgetting something. That's why Ramble Office really clicked with me. Rambo takes everything I used to juggle, tech gear, personal stuff, and puts it into one smart, great-looking unit that's designed to be a mobile office, not just luggage. Everything has a place. Everything stays protected. And when you get to where you're going, you're ready to work. Instead of digging through bags or repacking your life every time you move, Ramble keeps your setup organized and ready to deploy. Travel days stop being chaos and start being productive. It's sleek, modern, built for people whose work doesn't stop just because they're on the move. And if your job follows you, whether that's podcasting, teaching, consulting, or creating, Ramble is worth a look. Go to rambleofficeanywhere.com, all one word, rambleofficeanywhere.com. Use the promo code READ, R-E-A-D, and receive 5% off any product. It's exclusive for Reading with Your Kids listeners. Check it out today, rambleofficeanywhere.com, promo code READ. Hey, my friends, I have a super idea you are going to love. How about this weekend, turn your backyard cookout into a storybook celebration. Fire up the grill, crack open a few of your favorite picture books, and serve up Big Fork Brand's legendary bacon sausage. Made with nitrate-free bacon and premium pork, it's juicy, smoky, and unforgettable. Top it off with Big Fork's spicy Chicago fire sauce, and you've got a meal as bold as the characters in your favorite bedtime tale. Get 20% off your order using the promo code READ at bigforkbrands.com. That's bigforkbrands.com, promo code READ to get 20% off. Because nothing brings families together like great food, great books, and a whole lot of flavor. Big Fork Brands. Read, grill, repeat. Join us right now from the beautiful city of Chicago. Our guest is here today to celebrate her brand new picture book. It's called Girl on Wheels. Please welcome to the show, Shividya Venkat. Hey, Shividya, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm excited to be here, Jedley.
I'm excited to have you on. Tell us about Girl on Wheels, please.
So Girls on Wheels is inspired by the skateboarding revolution happening in India. It is a story about three girls who support one another as they practice skateboarding. One of them is returning to the skate park after recovering from a fall. So she is anxious and scared to skate again. But with the help of her friends and with their encouragement, she gathers courage and gets on the skate park and tries to skate and gets back to skating.
Well, I can certainly relate to the idea of being a little afraid of getting back on something that hurt you.
Oh, yes.
And
oh, yes.
I recently had a mishap with the set of stairs, and
Oh no!
I'm not looking forward to. Well, I'm looking forward to being able to get up and down stairs, but I am a little bit nervous about that. But I am confident my physical therapist will get me through it. But it's but I think that's a situation that a lot of us face, especially kids who are really passionate about a sport, and then they experience an injury, and it's that whole thing of, do I really want to do this again? I love it, but do I love it so much to risk going through that pain again?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. And, India is this amazing place that all of us have heard of, and if it hasn't already, it will soon become the most populous nation in the world. But India is a place that I think not a lot of people really understand. And the idea of girls skateboarding here in the States might be a little bit unusual for, a girl to be so passionate about skateboarding. But it's a completely different story as I understand it. In India, it's really takes some courage for a girl to take up skateboarding in India. Am I right about that?
That's right. And that's what caught my eye. When I first learned about this skateboarding revolution happening not far from the place I visit whenever I visit my family, which is Chennai. So I first learned about a girl who skates in a little mini skate park, and that's what really caught my attention, and I had to find out more about when that had started happening, because India was, after all, my sort of neighborhood and the place I go to. And so as I began to research, I learned about more girls who were out there. There were girls who are skating and empowering other children to skate as well. And this was an eye-opening thing for me also, because I was born and raised in India, and traditionally in Indian culture, women have been expected to follow certain gender roles and norms, and it's not that things haven't changed. Things have changed a lot, but still, skateboarding being a male-dominated sport, a risky sport, this was something that really took me by surprise. And that's what led me to dig deeper and decide to write a story about it.
Yeah. So what is it about skateboarding that is, I guess, giving certain girls the courage to kind of break out of those restrictions that a lot of girls are facing in India?
I think there is a certain thrill to skateboarding, and that other sports don't give. It's you can feel the wind in your hair. You feel you feel like you're flying. You feel the sense of freedom, a sense of lightness. I guess that's what leads them to it.
Boy, I have such fond memories of the wind blowing through my hair. Those memories have gone and will never return. But it's interesting that I think a lot of us here in the States take for granted that a girl can play on Little League, and they play on Pop Warner football teams, and they're out there skateboarding. I don't think that we realize that it's such a big deal for girls to participate in certain sports and certain activities in different countries around the world.
Yes. It is, but in India, it is a big deal. And I think in the States too, I would say, how often do people follow a women's team that's playing soccer or a women's team that's playing cricket? Although they are doing it there, but, why doesn't that pique the kind of interest that men playing those sports does? So I think, it is becoming a big deal. And I think, it is empowering these girls to keep doing what they love, no matter, how hard it can be. And I think these women, despite the lack of, public interest in these sports, they are just doing what they love. They are just, going all the way, following their heart and following their dreams.
And I think that's something very, very important that we should all be talking to our kids about, whether they're girls or boys, is just encouraging our kids to get out there. And first off, I think it's really important to encourage our kids to dream.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of kids out there who don't. And that's going to come as a surprise to a lot of people listening. But it really is true. There's a lot of kids. I've done very unscientific surveys of audiences at my educational magic shows and found a disturbing number of kids who say that they don't have dreams. And there are other more scientific studies that show that not every kid has a dream, has a passion. So first, I think we should get out. It should be encouraging all of our kids to dream. And then, secondly, just give them all the support we can to help them make their dreams come true.
Yes, I completely agree with that. We must encourage our kids to dream and give them that support, which is much needed to encourage them to do what they need to do in order to fulfill those dreams.
Yeah. Now, I was reading somewhere in my notes that just like the main character in your book who is pursuing her dreams of skateboarding, you have a passion for swimming.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if I'm as passionate about swimming now. However, it was something that I did not get a chance to learn, and I really wanted to learn when I was in India. And so it was on my to-do list and for a longest time. And I did 20 years ago. I took that plunge and took a swimming class. And that's how it started. It took me about 10 years to get there. But you know how life takes over. So, but it was something that I had on my to-do list, and it something that I really wanted to do, and it continues to be on because I don't get into the pool as often, but it still remains. So I did learn to swim, is what I'm trying to say, about 10 years ago, finally. And I did want to add one more thing. I forget, I speak too soon, and it was something, and there was, in fact, just like Anila's accident, I had a close drowning incident. When I was practicing, so that kept me away from the pool for the longest time. Although it was also, haunting me that I was keeping away from it. That fear of it happening again, kept me away. And I think that's how I connect myself. I see a little bit of Anila in me, but you know what? I wasn't away from the pool for a while because I said I have to go back and overcome that fear. And I did. And after that, I did learn to swim. Although I could do a lot more practice now, like I said. But yeah, so that was something that really helped me connect with Anila's character. Yeah.
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 How important is it for you as an author to be able to connect with at least one character in the stories that you're sharing?
I think it is crucial. You do have to, you don't need to, I feel you don't need to have a personal like experience or a similar experience like the main character, but you have to put yourself inside that main character's mind and say, what if you had gone to this? And I think the older the age group you write for, the more critical it becomes, because you're delving deeper into that character's emotional status. And yeah, so yeah, it is important either to get inside the head of your main character, put yourself in his or her shoes, and I think that's what makes writing more effective. And for a reader who has experienced something that the main character has, the reader would connect better if the writer has connected better while writing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. One of the things I read about you is that it took you some years and some different careers before you find yourself writing for children. What was that struggle? Did you always know that you wanted to write for children, or was it one experience bouncing from career to career that said, yeah, no, I want to stop this and I want to write for kids?
No, I think it did not happen in one go. No, it was, so I was, as a child, I was an avid reader. I used to write just like, most kids do, write for school homework and stuff. And I used to write casually as well, but not that often. And then, how when you grow up, you just, life takes over you, and things take over your life. And however, I continue to read a lot, and the writing happened quite unexpectedly. When when I had my own children, I was reading to a lot of picture books to them. Picture books did not exist in India when I was growing up. So this was a new genre, and these were short books with, wonderful books with a lot of illustrations, and I just fell in love with them. And as my children grew, and they outgrew picture books, my love for picture books remained, and I held on to them, and I began to borrow and buy picture books for myself. So I think one thing led to another, and I realized that I was not seeing enough stories about my culture in these picture books, and I thought how wonderful this could be, and if there were books like this. And I realized that there were stories inside me waiting to be told, and so I just began penning them down and then sending them out to publishers as well, to just so I began doing my research, of course, about who's publishing these kinds of books, and but it took a while to actually get published.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so
did you want to add something?
No, I think I'm done.
It's, again, going back to what we were talking about earlier in your home country of India, it's such, one of the things I know about India is that it is such an immense nation. It's also a very diverse nation. You just can't say India is about X, Y, or Z, because it's also about A, B, C, and all the other letters of the alphabet. There's such a diversity in that nation.
Yes, and there is a lot of diversity, as you say, and several languages are spoken. I lose count of how many. I mean, several hundred languages are spoken, and then there are sub-languages or dialects, within a particular region. So yes, and then of course the clothes we wear, the food we eat, and there's so many. I can hardly say it, and I know I haven't. I mean, I've probably tasted only a small variety of dishes. There's so many parts of India I haven't explored myself, and hope to get out there someday.
Yeah. It's a nation that is very intriguing to me. I'm very curious about it, and I hope to visit there myself. I actually do have a number of friends in India, and one of our team members who's been part of the Reading with Your Kids podcast since we started is in Mumbai. So we have lots of connections with India. Hey,
wonderful. And you should visit India. You should. I think you'll love it. Yeah.
I agree. Hey, before we go, real quick, one of the books that you've written in the past just kind of caught my eye is Dancing in Tata's Footsteps. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. Can you tell us a little bit about that book?
Sure. So, Dancing in Tata's Footsteps. Tata is a grandfather in Tamil, in the Tamil language, Tamil is a southern Indian language. The book is about a little boy who wants to learn the Indian classical dance, which is called Bharatanatyam, and but he is discouraged from learning. His friends tell him that dance is not for boys. However, his grandfather tells him that he used to be a dancer once, and he encourages this little boy to follow his heart, to go ahead and take dance lessons. And what happens next is the rest of the story.
Wonderful.
So it's about, it is based on, the Bharatanatyam is a 2,000-year-old Indian classical dance, 2,000-year-old. Let me emphasize that more. It was traditionally performed by, it has been traditionally performed by women, and there are men who learn the dance, but there is still a certain stigma against men performing this dance. And that's what drove me to write the story, because it is something, even if, what do you call it? The society views as being dance performed by women. It's more glamorous, it's more graceful when it's performed by women versus men. However, there are several men who are breaking stereotypes there. So,
It sounds like encouraging kids to break stereotypes is something that's pretty important to you.
Yes, and I think the key thing is I would love kids to have dreams and to try to achieve those dreams, and no matter what they are told, right? I mean, no matter what's the norm, it's important to be true to yourself, and follow what you want to do. That's most important.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know people are going to want to follow you. So where can they go to find out more about you, and also find out more about all of the great books that you've created?
Thank you. Thank you for asking me that. My website is SRIVIDHYAVENKAT.com, And I'm also available on social media at Srividya Venkat, on Twitter as at Venkat Srividya, and on Facebook as Srividya Venkat or Srividya Venkat Children's Author. That's my Facebook page.
Wonderful.
So I'd be happy to for you to visit and learn more about me.
Yeah. Awesome.
And thank you.
We've had a wonderful time speaking to the author of Girls on Wheels. Beautiful new picture book from our guest, Srividya Venkat. Srividya, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here and to speak to you. And thanks again, Jed.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Reading with Your Kids and will join us for the next exciting episode of the show. Hey, if this episode made you smile or gave you something to think about, please consider sharing a link to the show with someone you love. Leave a 5-star review, and of course, we would absolutely love it if you could subscribe to the show wherever you find your favorite shows. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful, starting with our guest, Annie Agarwal. Please be sure to check out the Magic of Diwali with Sarah. Also want to thank Srividya Venkat. I want to thank my team, Chris Doherty, Jackson Saltalero, Joanne Lynn. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better, more caring, and empathetic place. And you do that every time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next episode of Reading with Your Kids.